Hi, welcome to lesson 2, focused on the competing values framework and the workplace behavioral profile. This is a part of our organizational behavior, developing healthy organizations. And in this week, we're going to talk about the competing values framework. So this framework is, in the way I often describe it to people, is it's very similar to the Myers-Briggs, but it's for organizations. It's almost as widely used. It's been around for 30 years. It's been used by 10,000 organizations. My understanding, it's probably the most widely used organizational cultural assessment. I'm not going to explain all the details of it. You're going to get that from the book and from the videos in this course that are written by the authors of this framework. But what I am going to do is I'm going to try to translate this into ministry context for you in nonprofit context. So to translate the competing values framework into ministry context, I often say that there's the tension between business and ministry values. So the collaborate quadrant is ministry values, and that's doing things together, the clan, long-term development, and then that is competing with the business values. So that's doing things fast, market, and short-term performance. So, are you investing in people over a lifetime? Or are you just trying to get your goals done this quarter, right? That's kind of the tension. And then you have the startup values or the entrepreneurial values, in this create quadrant, doing things first. And then you have, in nonprofits, you would call this the governance values, or control and accounting, following all the procedures, governance and compliance values. So that's translating those into a ministry context. Now, let's talk about the workplace behavioral profile and competencies and skills. So competing values framework, part of what makes it interesting is you can apply it at the individual level, you can apply it at the organizational level, or you could do it at your departmental level. So the workplace behavioral profile is a way to apply it at the individual level. It's basically saying across these different quadrants, what are your skills? And they have 3 in each quadrant. So the facilitator, encouraging participation; the mentor, develops people; the empathizer, acknowledges others' needs. And then the competing is the competitor, focus on competition; producer, showing a hard work ethic; the driver, emphasizing speed. And you can imagine how these might be competing. If you had a manager that is the driver, might be different than a manager that is the empathizer. And then here you have the regulator, clarifying policies; the monitor, expecting accurate work; coordinator, controlling projects; versus on the create quadrant, you have the visionary, anticipating customer needs; the innovator, initiating significant change; and the motivator, inspiring others to succeed. Now, there's more detailed breakdowns of each of these that actually get into the profile, and that's on the next slide. I'm not going to get into them, but I just want to kind of show them to you, so you could break down each of those into 3 subcategories. And what you're going to do this week, you can take this workplace behavioral profile, and then you'll get a test result that's going to show you something like this across each of these dimensions, what you would look like. And what's important looking at this profile isn't just these individual ones, it's kind of the big picture. So this person is someone who is very innovative, somewhat competitive, not as strong on the control or the collaboration. Now, many of you are familiar with Myers-Briggs. It's worth noting that there is a correlation between the workplace behavioral profile and Myers-Briggs. And this is a rough correlation by the authors of the workplace behavioral profile. And they essentially said, extroverts are going to be more in this quadrant, introverts are going to be more in this quadrant. P's are going to be more up here. J's are going to be more down here in general. Intuitive is going to be up here. Detail-oriented, the control quadrant really is the detail-oriented quadrant. And the feeling is really the top half, and the thinking is really the bottom half. So for many of you familiar with Myers-Briggs, that may be helpful. If you're not familiar, then you can look it up and find out more. So one of the ideas behind the assignment this week is you are going to take your workplace behavioral profile and you're going to say, okay, here's where my skills are. And one of the ideas is we want you to be a balanced manager. And the whole idea of a general management program is that you're learning to be a general manager in addition to being a specialist. So, one key question is, to what extent are you going to take courses in your strengths or weaknesses? So if you are someone like me and you're really strong in your entrepreneurial, you might take some of the entrepreneurial courses, but I've had to spend, especially the past 5 years, working on my operations skills to balance myself out as a manager. And if, say, you had an undergraduate degree in business, you might want to emphasize more of the ministry courses, and vice versa. Now, what this is going to feel like, though, to you, and I've seen this from our students, is I see business students and they take our ministry courses and they say, I don't get this. This is there's no measurable assignments. You're not using spreadsheets in this course, or I've seen people who come from the ministry perspective and they take a course in marketing and they're like, you're just manipulating people. That's all marketing is. The point is, you got to learn to appreciate these other perspectives and not judge these other perspectives. I used to think that the control quadrant and the operations quadrant was just the people who made a bunch of rules that didn't really make sense. And that's not helpful. So what we're trying to do is to help you get what's called a T-shaped education. So you want to go deep in your dominant quadrant, but then you also want to get broad skills in the other 3 quadrants. So most students will major in your strengths and minor in your weaknesses. So ministry people who need business skills, entrepreneurs that need operations skills, and often recognizing, whenever I took operations and accounting type courses, I at first just thought the teacher was stupid, honestly, because I felt like all the rules in the course were stupid because they have a different set of rules than what I prefer. And often it doesn't fit your personality type, and it feels misaligned with your personal values, and try to avoid, use a cross-cultural lens and take each quadrant based on its own terms and culture and avoid judging. So when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So if you're in an entrepreneurship course and you're an accountant, well, you need to learn the rules of entrepreneurs and follow them and not judge them, and vice versa. If you're an entrepreneur and you're in an accounting course, all those details are extremely important and you got to follow all the rules. So what we're ultimately trying to do is we're trying to help you develop balanced skills to improve organizational health. So a lot of nonprofits, they're serving the poor, and then there's this bridge that you're trying to get them across for resources. And if you're a junior program staff, then you might be close to the clients, right? Or if you're junior operations or development staff, you might be close to those who have resources. And part of what we're trying to do, if you're going to be a senior manager, you need to learn to be a balanced bridge builder. So that's what this week's major assignment is about, is you're going to be looking at what is your profile and then coming up with a plan of how do you help make yourself more balanced while also deepening your core strength. So thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, ask your faculty member. Thanks.